Chapter 206. It had been over 20 years since her grandmother went insane. She would call out to this Ruby every time her condition acted up. Felicity had tried asking her parents and other family members. However, they either refused to answer or brush her away. Mr. Snyder Sr. spoke to her solemnly, which was a rare occasion. "Don't ask questions about things you shouldn't be asking about. I will tell you when the time is right." At Royal Bay, Johnford, Nash informed Hira and her parents that the culprit was now dead. The three hugged and cried tears of joy. Maria dabbed at the tears that had welled in her eyes. Harrison clapped a hand to Nash's back. "Nashy, you traveled thousands of miles just to catch the murderer, so I'm sure Mr. Lewis will rest easy now." Nash smiled. "Don't mention it." Lauren glanced at Harrison. "Didn't you say Mr. Lewis had left that box behind for Nash?" "Oh, right." Harrison picked up a box from the couch and handed it to Nash. "He had been protecting this box with his life. We spent ages trying to figure out how to open it, but we still haven't figured it out." The cube-shaped box did not have a lid or a lock. It looked like a piece of metal. It was extremely light, but you could immediately tell it held something inside it because of the rattling sounds it made when you shook it. "This is a burr puzzle made using interlocked pieces of machinery." Nash pressed his palm down on the top of the box, ejecting pieces of metal from all four sides. He swiftly rearranged the metal pieces, looking like he was playing a game as he did that. "Are these magnets?" Hira propped her chin on her hands and gazed at the box curiously. "No, they aren't magnets, but a rare type of chemical compound instead. Chemical reactions that occur at the cracks allow the pieces to fuse as one, but the bonds holding them together are extremely weak. You can break them by simply pushing on them," Nash explained as he continued pushing the metal pieces. Hira nodded. Nash did not stop adjusting the metal pieces for the next 30 minutes. Hira yawned. "Are you sure you can do it?" Nash smiled. "Do you want to know?" "What?" Hira was stunned. "Nothing." Nash lowered his head and continued adjusting the metal pieces. Harrison and Lauren exchanged glances. They quickly averted their gazes after that. Crack! The box let out a crisp-sounding crack. Then, the four sides of the box fell downwards like blooming petals. Hira immediately jerked to attention and leaned forth to see what the box contained. Harrison and Lauren also leaned forth. A bundle of yellowing papyrus, an incomplete map, and a gold ring in the shape of a dragon. Nash carefully unfurled the papyrus, which was covered in difficult-to-decipher hieroglyphs. It was also difficult to tell what was drawn on the incomplete map, and none of them could recognize the landmarks that had been labeled. "Nash, did your master leave these items behind for you?" Hira had a curious look as she turned to Nash and asked him in a gentle voice. Nash shook his head. "I don't know either." "Then, what did my grandfather say when he asked to speak to you at the hospital?" "He told me to take good care of you." Nash made up a random excuse. He could not let anyone know of his true identity, even if they were people he knew and trusted. Herman Lewis' entire family had nearly gotten killed simply because he had gone to the Young Family Village. If the Klein family learned he was from the Young Family Village, there was no doubt they would kill him. His friends and family would not be spared either if that happened. "Grandpa." Tears welled in Hira's eyes. Lauren's gaze turned absent-minded as she gazed at the gold ring. Chapter 207. Harrison noticed the look in Lauren's eyes and waved a hand in front of her. "What are you looking at?" Lauren returned to her senses and chuckled. "Nothing. I just think this ring is really well crafted." Harrison smiled. "I can get one made for you if you like it so much." Lauren pursed her lips. "We should head to bed. Hubert wants to meet us tomorrow, and we have no idea what he wants. We should rest up so we have the energy to deal with him." She headed toward the doors after finishing her sentence. "Mom, didn't you say you wanted to go to bed? Why are you heading out?" Hira asked, confused. "I don't sleep well in unfamiliar places. I won't be able to get a good night's sleep if I spend the night in this new mansion." Lauren did not even turn around when she replied. Harrison immediately understood what Lauren meant and smiled. "I should head back too. You two don't stay up too late." Hira was stunned. "Do unfamiliar places affect your sleep quality too, Dad?" Harrison chuckled. I can only fall asleep if I'm hugging your mom." He swiftly turned and headed off after finishing his sentence. Maria untied her apron. "Mr. Calcraft, Miss Hira, it's time for me to get off work as well." Nash and Hira were the only two people left in the mansion. Nash returned to the second-floor bedroom with the 3 items. Hira went to take a shower after getting herself some pajamas. Nash took a picture of the hieroglyphs on the papyrus and sent them to Theo. Theo replied, "Wow, what a refined hobby you have, Nash. Since when were you into hieroglyphs?" Nash replied, "Get someone to translate this." Although night had already fallen, Theo immediately contacted several well-known professors who specialized in ancient writing systems. However, to prevent any secrets from accidentally being revealed, he only sent each of them pictures of a few of the hieroglyphs. When Hira finished her shower, she burrowed between her sheets and got ready for bed. She had been using work to numb the pain she felt. She had not taken even a single break for the entire time she spent working today. Hence, she drifted off into a deep sleep soon after getting into bed. Nash got into bed after he had also taken a shower and asked, "Hira, weren't you curious about my skills? Do you want to try?" Hira let out a soft hum. Nash's heart skipped a beat after hearing Hira's response, and he immediately flipped her over. The corner of his mouth curved upward when he realized she was fast asleep. She had been talking in her sleep. Nash's head drooped downward. When he finished adjusting the lights, he fell asleep while holding his girl in his arms. The next morning, Nash woke up early and went for a jog. When he returned, he saw Harrison and Lauren's car parked outside. Maria had finished preparing breakfast by the time he entered the living room. Hira had also woken up, and she sat on the living room couch to talk to her parents. "Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis." Nash bid them good morning politely. Harrison smiled and nodded at him. However, Lauren pursed her lips. "You're already married, but you're still addressing us as Mr. and Mrs. Lewis." Nash blushed and scratched his head as he said awkwardly, "Mom, Dad." Lauren was overjoyed when she heard Nash address her as Mom. "Gosh, that's more like it. We're a family now. You're our son." Harrison beamed. However, Hira's face turned bright red as she lowered her head. She and Nash had not known each other for a very long time. Yet, he was her husband now. Perhaps it was because she was used to being single, but it felt weird. Nash washed up and changed into a well-tailored suit. The family enjoyed breakfast together before heading toward Hubert's mansion. Nash drove while Harrison sat in the passenger seat next to him. Hira and Lauren sat in the back seat. Hira leaned against Lauren's shoulder and asked, "Mom, why does Uncle Hubert want to meet us?" Chapter 208. As Lauren knitted a sweater, she replied, "He probably wants to discuss inheritance matters." Hira pouted, "Is there even a need for discussion? Just split everything up. It doesn't matter as long as we get Baroque and they get Rococo. They can take the land that the Lewis estate is on if they want to." Lauren flapped the sweater she was holding. "Would be nice if that were the case." Stunned, Hira asked, "How else are they thinking of splitting things?" Nash, who was driving, smiled. "Baroque Group owns the 7nm photolithography machine and has dealings with Drake Group. The future looks bright for Baroque Group, and I'm pretty sure they want to own shares in Baroque Group as well." Hira could already imagine the foul looks on her uncle's family's faces. She bit down on her lip. "My parents have poured their heart and soul into the Baroque Group for over 20 years. There's no way we'll let them have any shares." No one in the Lewis family had extended them a helping hand when the Baroque Group had fallen into a financial crisis. Back then, her parents had worked day and night, traveling everywhere and anywhere to borrow money from those who would lend it to them. Of course, her grandfather had assisted them since he had been the one who established all of the Lewis family's businesses. The company's losses had been due to her father's mismanagement. However, although Hubert was his older brother, he had not given her father any help. Instead, he backstabbed him and mocked him from his comfortable position. Her parents had made it through those dark times, and Baroque Group was doing extremely well now with Nash's help. How could they allow shares to Baroque to be taken away? "Your grandfather owns 40% of the shares in both Baroque and Rococo. Since he passed on without writing a will, your uncle is entitled to 20% of Baroque's shares." Lauren sounded defeated. She had married Harrison despite her family's protests and ran the Baroque Group alongside him. They had poured all their heart and soul into the company for over 20 years. Does that mean we must yield that 20% of shares? Hira asked disgruntledly, her face turning pale. That's right. Harrison sighed. But we'll also get 20% of Rococo's shares, so it won't be a total loss. I don't want any shares of Rococo, Hira said unhappily. We could buy the 20% back from them, Nash suggested, smiling. Do you think they'll sell it to us? Hira asked. We'll play things by ear. Nash rubbed his nose as he spoke nonchalantly. Lauren's eyes gleamed as she flapped the sweater she was holding and said, I've finished knitting this sweater. What do you guys think? Hira stared at the tiny sweater. Who's going to wear a sweater this small? When she recalled what her father had said last night, she clapped a hand to her mouth and said, Mom, you aren't thinking of giving me a sibling, are you? Harrison guffawed. This sweater is for my grandchild. Hira's face turned crimson. What? It's too early for that. She and Nash had not even slept with each other yet, and her mother had already begun knitting sweaters for their child. No one could even predict if she would have a son or daughter. Harrison added, so you guys should get a move on. 1 hour later, at Hubert's mansion, the family and Adam sat on the couch. Nash walked in with the rest of the family. Adam immediately got to his feet. Mr. Harrison, Miss Mare. Harrison and Lauren smiled as they nodded to him in greeting. Chapter 209. Hubert glanced carelessly at Harrison and the rest of his family. Meanwhile, Rooney did not even look at them. Harrison had become much more brazen than he had once been, and he strode over to sit on the armchair directly opposite Hubert's. Lauren, Hira, and Nash sat on the nearby couch. It immediately showcased Harrison and Hubert's positions in their families. Hubert did not bother beating around the bush. I wanted to meet you today to talk about the shares father held in Baroque and Rococo. Adam is here today, so let's get everything settled today. Harrison said calmly, Tell me, how do you think things should be distributed? Hubert turned to Adam. Mr. Zoll, why don't you walk them through things? Mr. Lewis held 40% of Baroque Group's and Rococo Group's shares respectively. He has $75 million in his accounts and permanent right to access the land Lewis estate sits on. All I want are the Baroque Group shares. You can have everything else. Harrison interrupted. The possibility of that happening was low, but he still wanted to give it a try. We're brothers, so we should distribute everything evenly. We'll each take 20% of the shares to Baroque Group and Rococo Group respectively and divide the $75 million equally. As for the land, we'll sell it and split the money equally. The corner of Hubert's lips curved upward into a smirk. It was just as Nash had predicted. Hubert's family desperately wanted the 20% shares of the Baroque Group. Harrison cocked an eyebrow. Hubert, wouldn't it make more sense if you took all the shares to Rococo while I took all of Baroque's shares? Why do you need to reap what you have not sown? I'm just trying to get my rightful inheritance while complying with inheritance laws, Hubert said as he took a sip of his half-filled glass of wine. Name a price. We'll buy the shares from you, Nash interjected, interrupting Hubert. I didn't say I would sell them, Hubert said as he swirled his wine around his glass, a mocking look on his face. Mom, I'm still the copyright owner of the photolithography machine, right? Nash turned and asked Lauren. Yes, of course. It's registered under your name in the company's assets. You can take it any time you wish. Lauren knew Nash was fighting for their rights to Baroque Group's shares, but she did not know what exactly he had up his sleeve. I have $6 billion in my accounts. That should be enough to establish another chip manufacturing company, right? Nash smiled as he asked. Lauren immediately understood what Nash was implying and smiled. It would be more than enough to establish a company on the same scale as Baroque Group. Those present were not idiots. They immediately understood what Nash was trying to do. If Nash did not get all the shares to Baroque Group, he would leave the company, with the 7nm photolithography machine in hand, to start his own business. Baroque Group would return to its original state after completing the $2 billion project. The $2 billion project would bring them about $400 million of profit. Hubert would get a share of around $800,000, and then his shares in the Baroque Group would become worthless. Worried that Hubert would not understand his hints, Nash stated bluntly, $200 million. That's the highest I'll go. If you refuse, we'll just establish a new company. Rooney smiled cruelly. I don't think you have it in you to shut down a company you've been running for the past 20 years, let alone one that was left to you in your father's will. Who said I'm going to shut it down? Can't we just own two companies at the same time? It wouldn't be too much for my in-laws to earn a little pocket money from operating Baroque Group, right? Nash crossed one leg over the other and glanced at Rooney nonchalantly. Helena, what do you think? Hubert gave Helena a pleading look. What about the rest? Hera stared at Nash as she asked her question. She did not dare doubt anything Nash had said, nor did she dare doubt his capabilities. Even if he did not have $6 billion in his accounts, his platinum membership card at the Chateau Hotel was worth at least $50 billion. We want the rights to access the land the Lewis estate sits on, and the 40% shares to Baroque Group. You can have everything else, and I'll also pay you $200 million as payment for the shares to Baroque Group. All right. It's a deal, Helena said calmly. Mr. Zoll drafted another contract and brought it over for them to sign after it was printed. Nash transferred $200 million into Hubert's account right then and there. The two companies, Baroque Electronic Technology and Rococo Coating Factory, no longer had anything to do with each other. Adam also resigned from his position at Rococo and joined the Baroque Group. Once they left, Hubert said disappointedly, "Looks like no one has any power over them now." Helena's lips curved upward. That might not be true. 6 out of the 10 juggernauts have just arrived. If I'm not mistaken, they'll be taking action very soon. Chapter 210. Nash drove and dropped Harrison and Lauren off at Baroque Group's headquarters before going to the branch company with Hera. Nash, you were awesome just now. I was totally in love with you. Hera linked arms with Nash, an admiring look on her beautiful face. In just a short while, Nash had managed to get the shares back from her uncle. His confident aura had given him full command over her uncle's family. As for how he could afford to pay $200 million for the shares, she was too unbothered to ask. He was a platinum member at the Chateau Hotel, a golden emulet master, and McNash, the godfather of the boxing world. Either one of these titles could bring him endless wealth. If he could get his hands on the 7nm photolithography machine, which was marketed with a starting price of $1 billion, why would it be difficult for him to fork out $200 million? The two walked into the elevators, and the doors were just about to close when a man in his 30s rushed into the elevator. He was wearing a suit and had a lanyard around his neck. Miss Lewis, what a coincidence! The man was clean-shaven, and his face was slightly red from running. An odd look appeared on Hera's face when she saw the man, and she forced herself to smile at him. Nash glanced at them before turning his gaze toward the elevator ceiling. Hans handed the marketing plan he was holding to Hera. Miss Lewis, this is our plan for expanding our business into the Southeast Asian market. Please take a look. Hera took the marketing plan from him and began flicking through it. Hans turned to Nash and smiled as he extended a hand. You must be Miss Lewis' boyfriend. I'm Hans Wilson, head of the marketing department. He had once worked in the human resources department of a multinational company, but then resigned and became a house husband after his wife became pregnant. After having met countless people, he could not help but be shocked when he saw Nash. He had an elevated nose bridge, thin lips, and eyes that had a calm but chilling look, which gave him an aura of valor. All this pointed to signs of him being no ordinary person. Hello! Nash did not extend his hand and merely nodded a polite greeting. Hans did not find it awkward and merely smiled as he put his hand down. Hera caught a glimpse of Nash's expression from the corner of her eye, and she found it amusing. Nash did not seem very happy. Was it because she had blushed when she saw Hans? Had he misunderstood things? Hera snapped the file shut and returned it to Hans. Let's proceed according to plan. Hans had spent several years working in a multinational company, and there was no doubt he was a highly capable person. Her parents would not have spent so much money trying to hire him if that were not the case. The elevator soon brought them to the 3rd floor. Hans obediently waited for Hera and Nash to leave the elevator before he did. Nash and Hera walked to the CEO's office. After sitting down at her desk, Hira frowned and fanned the air around her. Do you smell something? Nash sniffed. Is it disinfectant? Hira laughed as she turned around. Was someone being jealous just now? I could even smell it in the air just now. Nash rolled his eyes at Hira. I'm not jealous. Though the look on Hira's face had been somewhat odd just now, he had not taken things the wrong way. Lauren was such a well-mannered woman, so there was no way her daughter would not have equally excellent morals. Hira sat down, blushing as she explained. The last time Scotty ordered takeaway coffee, our delivery man was Hans. Nash walked over to Hira's desk, crossing his arms over his chest as he leaned on it and stared into her eyes. You don't seem to believe me. Hira propped her tiny face against her hands and stared back at Nash. I know you trust me, but I'm your wife. I should give you an explanation so you feel secure in our relationship. She may have never been in a relationship before this, but she had read plenty of stories and watched multiple TV shows. Chapter 211. She knew how important a sense of security was when it came to love. Nash's lips curled up. He leaned over and gently kissed Hira's soft lips. Hira wrapped her arms around Nash's neck and slowly closed her eyes. Suddenly, the office door was pushed open. Scotty, dressed in a white martial arts uniform, walked in. Upon seeing the scene before her, she was instantly dumbfounded. She could not believe her eyes. Hira, who had always been pure and innocent like a little lamb, was actually making out in the office. Upon hearing Scotty's voice, Hira quickly pushed Nash away. Her face turned so red like a ripe apple. Scotty was her close friend and had previously worked in the company, so she could freely enter and leave the company. Regardless of whether she had business or not, she never knocked on Hira's office door. Now that she saw her kissing Nash, Hira felt incredibly embarrassed. You too. Keep going. Scotty awkwardly smiled and then left the room, closing the door behind her. No need. Come in. Nash's tone was clearly displeased. Why did she come into the room without even knocking? He was a man, so he could handle a little embarrassment. However, Hira was a woman. Thankfully, they were only kissing. If they were doing something more thrilling in the future, even so, by then, they would have probably locked the door. Mischievous thoughts crossed Nash's mind. Back when he was on the mountain, he had secretly viewed his master's treasured collections. Scotty knocked a few times and then Ray entered the office, sheepishly saying, Nash, Hira, I didn't mean to. Hira pinched Nash's waist. It's all your fault. You didn't even consider the situation. Nash's waist muscles tensed up as he whispered, Wasn't it you who hugged my neck and didn't let go? Hira's face turned even redder. I don't care. It's still all your fault. Hey, that's a bit much now. Can you two show some mercy to this single girl here? Seeing the two still flirting, Scotty pretended to be angry and walked over. Only then did the two of them tone it down. Hira playfully said, If you're jealous, go find yourself a boyfriend. Oh, sorry. I meant a husband. Scotty glared at Hira. We had a deal that us besties would stay together, and whoever gets in a relationship first is a cheater. Hira feigned ignorance. Really? I don't remember that. Clearly irritated, Scotty playfully tickled her. Why, you little one? You're asking for it. Hira was no match for Scotty and soon begged for mercy. Ha, Skate. I was wrong. I won't do it again. Nash, save me. As the two girls were playing around, Nash did not want to intervene and just coughed lightly. Scotty knew when to stop as well. Hey, Emph, I'll let you off this time. But if you show off again, I'll tickle you until you cry. Hira lay on the table, out of breath, and said, Just you wait. I'll have Nash teach me some unique martial arts, and then I'll take revenge on you. Looking at Scotty's martial arts uniform, Nash asked with a smile, Are you participating in a martial arts event today? Scotty adjusted her uniform and nodded. Yes. Last night, Sagan's martial arts school challenged Zabel's martial arts school. I'm on my way to the venue now. I was just passing by Baroque, so I dropped by to see you guys. Unable to resist her curious nature, Hira perked up and eagerly asked, A challenge? Is someone trying to prove themselves against your family school? Chapter 212. People have challenged us many times, and every time, they've left with their tails between their legs. Sagan's martial arts school lost to us 3 years ago, and yet they dare to challenge us again. I wonder who gave them the courage. Scotty lifted her chin with pride, radiating an arrogant demeanor. Here aside, it's a pity I have a lot on my plate today, otherwise, I would have gone to cheer you on. The company was not so busy in the past, so she would always go to cheer them on whenever Zabel Martial Arts School undertook a challenge. Scotty chuckled. You just focus on your own matters. Seeing you overcome your grief has already made me happy. Hera turned to Nash. Why don't you go and record the event? I can watch it in the evening. Scotty grinned. Silly girl. Our martial arts school has cameras everywhere. I can just send you the footage later. Nash should stay at the company and help you. Before she could finish, Scotty's phone rang from her bag. It was a call from Bianca. As soon as she answered, she heard Bianca's apologetic voice. Hera, I might not be able to make it. A woman who claims to be the Sagan women's boxing champion just challenged me at the club. I have a match this afternoon, so I need to train now. All right, I understand. Good luck. After hanging up, Scotty furrowed her brows and muttered, Sagan's martial arts school. Sagan boxing champion. Why is it always people from Sagan? Hearing Scotty's murmurs, Nash grew weary. I'll come with you. He was acquainted with both Scotty and Bianca. Both received challenges from Sagan at the same time. This made him suspect that the challengers had ties with the Green Bamboo Association. Scotty could not help but laugh and say, just stay with my bestie. It's just a small martial arts school. Not a big deal. Their martial arts school would accept various challenges every year, so she was used to these things. Bianca had recently been crowned champion of the Phoenix Crown, so it was quite normal for her to be challenged by other champions. The fact that all the challengers came from Sagan was likely a coincidence. Well, I'm off to the martial arts school now. Scotty turned and left gracefully. Nash frowned thoughtfully as he watched Scotty leave. Was it really just a coincidence? Or was the Green Bamboo Association targeting people close to him because they did not dare touch him? Noticing Nash's concerned gaze, Hera chuckled and asked, Do you want to go watch Scotty's match? Nash whispered, Both challengers are from Sagan, and the most significant underground force in Sagan is the Green Bamboo Association. I killed a core member of the Green Bamboo Association when I saved you and Scotty last time. I suspect these challenges have ties with them. Should I stop Scotty from accepting this challenge? Worry flashed in Hera's eyes as she rose from her seat. Nash shook his head. I'll go and check it out. If they're from the Green Bamboo Association, I have my ways to deal with them. Hera held Nash's hand and said softly, Please refrain from being reckless as well. Remember, you're not alone now. You have a family, understand? Her gentle words resonated with Nash's heart. There was a time when every mission he took was a matter of life and death. That was due to not only the tempering of his master but also his will to move forward bravely and never back down. In any case, he was all alone, so even if he died, there were no regrets. Yet now, he had a wife and parents-in-law who treated him as their own. Perhaps if such a mission came up again, he would think twice. This was the responsibility of a husband. Scotty got into her red Maserati parked by the roadside, identical to the one Hera bought. They had gotten their cars together. Just as she started the engine, she saw Nash coming out of the company. You're being too polite here, walking me out this far, Scotty said, leaning out of the car window. Nash approached the car, opened the door, and got in. Let's go. I want to see what's happening at your martial arts school. Chapter 213. If you follow me out, won't Hera be jealous? Scotty playfully teased on purpose. Nash gave Scotty a sidelong glance. Just drive your car. Scotty chuckled, started the car, and sped away. Zabel Martial Arts School was quite remote. It was located on the outskirts of Johnford, resembling a school in an impoverished mountainous region. A 3-meter-high wall surrounded the area, presumably to prevent outsiders from sneaking in to learn their techniques. Inside, A few small bungalows circled the martial arts performance ground. There were 18 kinds of weapons and martial arts racks placed on either side. At this moment, over 30 young individuals dressed in white martial arts uniforms were neatly lined up in the martial arts arena. Zachariah, accompanied by several well-known grandmasters from the industry, stood at the forefront speaking. A righteous heart leads to righteous fists, while an evil heart leads to malevolent fists. Our Hero Martial Arts School aims to cultivate character and promote national martial arts and spirit. Since its establishment, Hero Martial Arts School has accepted no fewer than 100 challenges, but never once have we been defeated. Today, the challenge comes from Sagan's Ihara Martial Arts School, founded by a member of the Nihon race. So, I hope you all will give your best today and show them the rich martial arts heritage of our great nation. Give it your all in today's battle. Zacharias stood tall and straight with his hands behind his back. His imposing eyes radiated a powerful sense of authority. Scotty's car was parked outside the martial arts school, where the parking lot was already full of vehicles. Many journalists and media bloggers eagerly waited. People even formed Haman ladders against the surrounding walls. Meanwhile, 4 students from the martial arts school guarded the main entrance. Scotty approached and asked, "Why aren't they being let in?" A student replied with a wry smile, "There are too many people. If we let them all in, it might affect our fellow brothers' performance." Just then, a bus, escorted by several luxury cars, drove over. Kai stepped out of a Lamborghini, with the glammed-up and sultry Helena by his side. Helena immediately spotted Nash and smirked teasingly. Kai, with Helena on his arm and surrounded by bodyguards, headed toward the martial arts school. Following closely were the Dawson's heir Duncan, the Lane's heir Simon, the Lee's heiress Olivia, and a beautiful young lady dressed in a cute schoolgirl uniform. Whoa! The heirs of Johnford's 5 elites are here. Today's visit is totally worth it. Guys, see that? The girl in the schoolgirl uniform is my wife, Sydney Zell. Send me some good vibes and I'll go kiss her right now. Sydney rarely appears in public. It's surprising to see her in front of so many media outlets today. It seems she's about to take over the family business after graduating from university. The onlookers whispered amongst themselves, many of their lecherous gaze fixed on Sydney's long legs that were clad in white stockings. Scotty raised an eyebrow. "I didn't know so many important people were coming today." Nash smirked. "They're all here to enjoy the show." Scotty turned to Nash. "So you're saying they're here to support us?" With a playful grin, Nash responded, "Yes, Helena and Kai are your fans. They're here to cheer you on." Chapter 214. Upon hearing this, Scotty finally realized. These people were here to mock the Hero Martial Arts School. They seemed to believe that the Hero Martial Arts School would lose. Scotty arrogantly said, "If you people are here to make a fool out of us, dream on." At that moment, an elderly Mediterranean man in a traditional Nihon outfit and wooden clogs stepped down from the bus. His scalp shone brightly in the middle, while white hair flowed down the sides. With a hooked nose and fierce eyes, his face carried an aura of strictness and intensity. As soon as he got off the bus, his gaze fixed on Nash, who was standing by the main entrance of the martial arts school. Nash also lifted his gaze to meet the old man's. The elder did not emit any obvious aura. Then, there was a subtle glow in the depths of Nash's pupils, and he discovered a faint movement of true essence in the old man's belly. This was the profound reality realm. Plus, it seemed like he was on the verge of forming into the mystique loyalty realm, indicating that this was a master at the peak or near the peak of the profound reality realm. Olivia approached, whispering, "Mr. Calcraft, this is New Ihara, one of the 10 juggernauts from the Green Bamboo Association, known as the Hidden Ghost Juggernaut. His strength is unfathomable. Zabel's martial arts school might face troubles today." She paused, leaning closer to Nash's ear and continuing, "Recently, Kai, Simon, and Duncan have become close allies. 6 of the juggernauts from the Green Bamboo Association have arrived in Johnford. They don't dare to act against you openly because they know you have the support of the Northern Territory." With his hands in his pockets, Nash nodded nonchalantly. Then, Olivia bit her red lip, expressing concern while saying, Theo told me to inform you not to engage directly with these juggernauts unless necessary. After all, they have all fought their way up through blood, sweat, and tears. Nash replied with a faint smile, Thanks for the heads up. I know what to do. What are you two discussing? Scotty approached them after speaking with a few other women. Nash shook his head. Nothing much. Let's go in. Without delay, they headed toward the entrance. When Zachariah saw Nash, he greeted him with a hand on his heart. Mr. Calcraft. Nash returned the gesture. Greetings, Mr. Zabel. Zachariah guided Nash to a large chair at the front of the hall, taking a seat on another next to it. A table sat between them, adorned with tea utensils. Before they could exchange words, the younger generation from the 5 elite families approached. Mr. Calcraft, please excuse me for a moment. Scotty, please accompany Mr. Calcraft. I need to greet our esteemed guests. Considering they were from the 5 elite families, despite their minimal interactions, it was necessary to show them respect. Zachariah greeted them warmly. Then, seats were soon brought for everyone. Nash, seated on the grand chair, turned to Scotty standing beside him. There's a chair right here. Aren't you going to sit? It was normal for Scotty, as he is close friend and someone of the same age as Nash, to sit beside him. When interacting with Zachariah, they bonded over martial arts. Given her own level of skill and cultivation, she also had the qualification to sit on equal footing with him. Scotty looked at the empty chair with a grin and said, You're the guest, so you sit. Nash was merely being polite, and whether or not Scotty chose to sit did not matter much to him. Do you smoke, dude? A young man with a strong, cheerful face offered Nash a cigarette. Without hesitation, Nash accepted and put it between his lips. The young man quickly lit it for him. Scotty laughed. Justin, you sure have a keen eye. Justin Yanes chuckled. Anyone who can sit in the master's grand chair is no ordinary person. The grand chair was a symbol of authority in the hero martial arts school. He had only seen masters and some elite martial artists sit there before. Even Scotty would seldom dare to sit on that seat. Nash frowned slightly, remembering Scotty's teasing smile. Realizing something, he was about to rise from the chair when Scotty quickly pressed down on his shoulders. You can't just sit and get up as you wish. Stay seated. She had guessed her grandfather's intention in seating Nash on the grand chair. Today, Nash had to represent the hero martial arts school. Fine, I'll stay seated then, Nash said, crossing his legs and continuing to smoke. Chapter 215. In the end, Hero Martial Arts School's brewing trouble was caused by Nash. If it were just a normal spar, that would be fine. However, if those Nihon people had other intentions, he would not mind transforming into the Grim Reaper. After the heirs and heiress from the 5 elites took their seats, people from Ihara Martial Arts School walked in. Nui's cold gaze fixed on Zachariah. Are you the head of Hero Martial Arts School? Yes, I am. Zachariah replied calmly. Nui bowed slightly. My apologies. Zachariah responded with a hand on his heart and a smile. My apologies. He then turned to Scotty. Skade, find a seat for Headmaster Ihara. Scotty looked around, but there were no extra chairs available. Then, Nash subtly twisted his leather-clad foot. The chair beside him seemed to glide across the ground toward Nui. Nui slowly looked up, placing his hand on the back of the chair. Nui's robe fluttered as if blown by the wind, and a spider web-like set of tiny cracks appeared beneath his feet. Such profound inner energy. Nui's face remained unchanged, but he was deeply shocked inside. He had encountered the practitioners in the profound reality realm before. However, he had never seen someone so young in the profound reality realm. Could it even be possible to reach the profound reality realm in just over 20 years? If one trained from birth, could he be from an ancient martial arts family? Taking a deep breath, Nui took a seat on the chair. Nash, what's his level? Scotty noticed Nash testing Nui's strength and was eager to know more. Profound reality realm. Nash flicked the ash from his cigarette. his expression still calm. Profound reality realm? Scotty's eyes widened in disbelief. She had heard of this term. It was the ultimate realm that every martial artist aspired to reach in their lifetime. There were rumors that Zephyr Zielinski, the founder of Holy Martial, was in the profound reality realm. Reaching this level of cultivation could almost be described as transcendent or holy. Not to mention other benefits, just in terms of lifespan, it could be more than double that of an ordinary person. Justin stood beside Scotty. He also heard what Nash had just said. He then looked at Nui in shock. If Nui was in the profound reality realm, was their school doomed? The rules set in the challenge letter were best 2 out of 3 rounds. The first round drew 5 students each from Ihara Martial Arts School and Hero Martial Arts School, 2 at the Energy Cultivation Realm, 2 at the Grandmaster Realm, and 1 at the Great Grandmaster Realm. The side with the most victories would win the first round. The second round was a battle between the descendants of the school heads. The third round was a duel between the school heads. Leaving the first 2 rounds aside, in the third round, with Nui's profound reality realm cultivation and Zakaria's Grandmaster realm level, there was no comparison. Meaning, even before the match began, Hero Martial Arts School had already lost 1 round. Suddenly, Justin's gaze settled on the composed Nash. His slender frame shivered involuntarily. The strength displayed by this gentleman earlier was not weak at all. He was able to discern that Headmaster Ihara's cultivation was in the profound reality realm. So, what was his own level of cultivation? Thinking of this, Justin whispered to Scotty beside him, "Skade, is this expert also in the profound reality realm?"